You're recording.
We're live.
You're live.
Okay, so we exited executive session at 5:47 PM and no action was taken. We are now going to call our regular meeting to order and stand for the pledge.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Do we have any updates to the agenda?
We do. We have the Brighton Trails Day approval, a library trustee appointment, and the lease for the CUD OLT cabinet location.
CUD, what was the second acronym?
OLT, optical light terminal cabinet.
Okay. So, public comments. Anyone have public comment? And I'm gonna be looking for things online and in person. Go ahead, Jamie.
I was wondering what's the status on filling that third, fifth position on the board?
We have posted it and we have received a few people expressing interest so far.
How long is it going to be posted for?
There's no limit as to how long it can be posted for.
What's the procedure following? It's taken down.
What's that?
What's the procedure as far as once it's taken down, like it's stopped?
Where we discussed is that we're gonna do something about this. I'll bring it up probably under new business maybe, but we're thinking about trying to get this moved as quick as possible. That's what
Yeah.
I want. And we're thinking about trying to get maybe a Friday meeting in.
And say, we discussed having a chance to speak with all the people because there are more than one person.
Right.
And some of them we may know, some of them we may not know, get an opportunity for the board to speak with everybody directly, as well as, get some information on what their thoughts are and then discuss where we're going to go from there.
You don't have a really time frame.
There's no enforced time frame,
No, that's
but we
fine.
do want to do quicker rather than later.
Okay.
The town is typically allowed like 2 weeks.
I was saying, in the past, it's usually been 2 weeks.
And it was posted last Monday, so it's been, just about 10 days, so.
Yeah.
And we were told that there is no time frame. Just the
No.
posting of it, that's all.
Right.
Yeah.
We can do that on our wish. And hopefully we could get that set up tonight's meeting. And you'll hear about it.
Okay, any other public comment? I'm looking for hands or unmuted. I don't see any. Okay. Moving on to a road department update. I don't see Nick here, so
We do,
We will-
we do have, Tucker has started, so we have one of our 2 new road people has started, and the second one starts the 14th.
Do you have his CDL at that time?
He will not. The town is, getting him his CDL. He's got an agreement with the town to pay for his CDL license, and he will, I'm not sure how long that takes. Hopefully
they have a
by,
class that starts in April and a class that starts in
and he's gonna be.
May.
The town's paying for that?
Yes, we have the union agreement has a stipulation that the town will, but they have to sign an agreement that if they don't stay for 4 years, they
And
have to reimburse on it goes down. each
may I
year.
ask who decided that?
That's part of your union contract. That's not,
Okay, thank you.
it's not something we have any
Yep,
say.
thank you.
Ed, did you have questions for us or you just accidentally unmuted?
Oh, go ahead and mute me.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Thanks. Okay, no problem.
Next on the agenda is the Brighton Recreation Shed placement. Mike and I can both speak to that, but I'll go ahead with it. If everybody remembers last year, there was a small, like 18 by 26-inch shed to help the balls and equipment kind of be. And we've gone ahead and looked at purchasing a slightly larger one that'll help contain and keep the balls under cover so they don't get as warped by the sun. And we would like to have permission to move forward with finding a spot in the park to put that so that it's out of the way, non-obstructive, and allows the kids to access all of the equipment that they put out.
So that would be for the tennis courts, all of it?
There's one, like the current shed, the shed that we had from last year would be moved to the tennis court to contain tennis court and pickleball stuff. And the slightly larger one would be somewhere in the area where it was last year.
Somewhere near the basketball court then?
Yes.
Okay.
So it has like the basketballs, the volleyballs, shuffleboard, and all that fun stuff.
So where's that money coming from? From the rec?
That is recreation department money.
What size shed you talking about?
It is a 4 foot by 6 foot. That'll give you room to have the shelves in there with the ball holders and things like that.
Now, why wouldn't it be all right to set it right back where someone, where the skating track was?
That's in the same region. It's somewhere in that area.
Yeah, well, that's what I was,
That's the general area that we're talking about for
Okay.
this,
well, you said
in the park.
in the park, so I was
It's in the park near yeah, we can pull up the picture and show.
I was elaborating a little harder on the park.
Yeah, it's gonna be an area that's fairly level and flat. That's also not an area that's going to get like ran into by flying children or cars. So I guess, do we have a motion to allow recreation to proceed with that?
I'll make a motion that we proceed with it.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm going to abstain on that one just because of my involvement with them. So next on the list is the ball field discussion, which is the obstacles of stop the balls between the ball field and the residents. I know I went back and I looked at the information that we had from last year, and the polls. I don't know where they went. We don't have polls. And when we start looking at different options, I know it got pretty expensive pretty quickly, especially if you were using telephone poles or things like that, because you have to use a pole setter to do it. And one option that we can look at is possibly planting trees that within a couple of years will block out and stop the majority of the balls.
And you do have a thing, I found these, something that kind of popped up on my computer because I talked about, what could we do? And so it kind of came up with these big arborvitae trees. And so this place that I found, actually, you can get 10 of them. They're 2 to 3 feet tall, and these particular trees grow 3 to 5 feet a year. And, it's like $380, which I think is a way more reasonable cost than $4,000 or $5,000.
It would also
And until-
help absorb sound too.
And
where
until the
that
time that they're tall enough, that's what we have the town insurance for, which is kind of what we've been doing until as of now. I mean, we've never had a claim, so.
Would 10 of them be enough?
No, I don't.
And that's something we'd have to decide. I just kind of picked that as a.
Okay, well, no,
I'm not saying that's what we have to buy. It was just,
you made the statement of 10, so
it just comes in a 10-pack. That's why I thought, 10-pack sounds like a good price. It was a good idea, I thought.
Heather, can we table that?
Oh, yeah. You don't have to make a decision.
I'd like,
No, I thought
if it's okay, do I need a motion for that? Would you table it, Heather, please?
we can table it.
Thank you.
yep.
No, I actually just kind of put that on the
Yeah.
agenda as a informational.
Thank you.
It's an option for you guys to consider.
We'll get something to look at. Okay, next up on the list is the wastewater treatment facility project update.
We have finally got good news on the wastewater treatment plant. So. I get the chair.
I actually managed to open up the storm window, so we actually do have some airflow in here.
And the noise too, huh? Exit feels.
Last time I opened the window and didn't open the storm.
So we did get a good bid when we had our rebid of the wastewater treatment plant. And so I kind of did this, this is kind of a sheet with it lists, all of the costs going into this, this project started back in 2021. The original budget was 3.756 million. That's what we are told it was going to cost in that time. And we originally had gotten a USDA grant and loan package for 3.756 million. Fast forward to 2025, as we've gone through COVID and everything else, and the project is now $7.8 million. And actually, it doesn't even include everything that was in that original 3.756 million, because we've done some of the work ourselves ahead of time. We did the pump station on Pleasant Street was originally part of this project. The town paid for that out of its own pocket because we couldn't wait. The pump station failed. So, when the prices started escalating, Joel and I kind of started working really hard trying to come up with how are we going to pay for this? Because we have 435 users on the sewer system. There's no way that they can pay for an $8 million wastewater treatment plant. But this plant is not an option for us. It's a mandate. Ours is 40 years old and is failing. So we have been able to pull together $4.9 million in grants and subsidies. So the town is actually only paying $2.8 million for that project. So I kind of thought it was important to point that out that, this is a big deal for the town. That we're not going to be bankrupt from this wastewater treatment plant. And you can see the sheer volume of grants and subsidies and everything that goes into actually funding a project like this. So we just wanted to kind of present that as an option, an update on it. We do expect that they will be mobilizing for construction at the end of April. And they actually are looking at a 15-month build cycle, which is way faster than what was originally planned, which should help maybe save a little money on the engineering costs at the back end. We won't know that till next May, which is when they're expecting it to be completed. So that's where we are on wastewater treatment.
Any questions for him on that?
This is the only bid you got, or?
We had only one bidder submitted. We had we actually had three that were going to bid. One of his subcontractors pulled out on him the day of the bidding. And so they did not submit. And that was actually a company that was really local. They were out of Colebrook. But their grounds person that was supposed to be doing like the demolition kind of stuff pulled out at the last minute, and they couldn't get another bid in time to submit their bid. And then the other company that was going to bid was the company that had given us the original bid on the project. And for some reason, they were on the call the day of the bidding, and they had put everything together for their bid, but then they just kind of never hit submit. So they didn't do it. And so, but the company that did put it in the bid, their bid is it's kind of almost identical to what the engineers said this was going to cost. So
It's not way off base, like,
yeah,
prior one.
the first time we went to bid, it was 2 million over the engineer's estimate. So it was pretty excessive.
And we're not in any predicament whatsoever by not getting the three bids.
No, we sought
we sought them.
You don't have
You
to have
to
three bids.
seek
You have to
them.
seek them.
Just seek them. It doesn't,
So
not-
if I
it's
ask
not a
you and
written-
I ask
it's not a
you,
written bid then. It doesn't have to
Right.
be.
Right. You don't actually
It's
have
got
to
to be
get,
thought.
you don't have to ask. And that goes with any of our bidding that we do. Because what you're gonna learn up in the Northeast Kingdom is you don't get 3 bids a lot of time. And
I agree.
I mean, there's just nobody to do
Well,
it.
I'm just glad you straightened that out because I was under the impression that had to
We've
be,
been, we've been trying to clarify that for a while. Is that it's
now I
receipt
understand.
3 bids?
Okay,
And we
If
actually
you
had
get one, you get one.
4 that came to the pre-bid conference, because I was down there with them. And one of them just didn't, they never actually put a bid in, which is common. I mean, it happens, they come and look at the project and discover that they just don't have enough people in this area to do the work. So
These guys are,
they're out of Burlington, is where it's Negley and Chase is the company's name. They're a big, construction firm that does wastewater treatment plants, stuff like that. So, yeah, we were very happy with the bid. Let's put it that way.
So the reservoir grant update also going to, like,
Yes. So, yeah, I'm just trying to get all these updates so everybody can see them. So I signed the grant agreement for the reservoir branch. So our reservoir is currently leaking 25,000 gallons of water per day. And the water, H2O, our water operator, they have had every possible person out looking at this reservoir, trying to figure out where it's leaking, where the water's going. Nobody can find it. We've recalibrated, we've checked the world, and they've kind of come back that it just must, the reservoir needs lined. And, it's masonry, it's old. And so this was originally scheduled to be part of our water treatment upgrade plants, was this liner for it. But I don't believe we can wait to keep losing 25,000 gallons of treated water where we're paying to treat it and then we're letting it run under the ground. So, I've been working with our engineers on that. And so they kind of had gotten this notification that there was a grant from the bond bank that was available for failing systems. And he sent it to me. And so we quickly filled out an application and we were awarded. So the estimate came from the engineer that, this is what it's going to cost to line that reservoir. It's about $190,000 with everything included. And we've got a grant for $190,000. So there should be no actual cost to the town, or very minimal. And if there's any overruns, but we do have a reservoir maintenance account, but it does not have $190,000 in it. So
how soon before they get that started?
that I just sent, because I just signed the grant agreement Friday. And so Monday I sent our engineer the notice that we can proceed, because we couldn't proceed until we got the grant agreement. And so that it should be fairly quick, or I'm hoping for, this spring that we get that fixed before we actually find out where 25,000 gallons of water a day is going, because literally we don't know.
Olympic swimming pool plus a day.
But there must be some big cavern someplace to go with water.
I don't know whether it could wash something out.
There should be water somewhere.
Sinkhole.
Somebody
No.
should have some water somewhere.
Ray's worried about it because he's right below them.
Do you have a swimming pool in your basement that we don't know about, Ray?
I might have one at some point. I did one year.
Do we have any questions on that one before I move on? FEMA grant.
So FEMA, we did completed the paperwork for our first FEMA flood, which was December of 23, and submitted the request for our first batch of funding. So that particular event was $36,000 approximately is what we had for damages. And so 75% of that is being reimbursed by the federal government. It's through the state, but it's federal money. And so that was what I just put in the reimbursement request for. So we're expecting $25,939.89.
And we do have that. We got it in the account on March 28th. Would have that $25,000 in our possession.
So that still leaves $8,646 that has not been reimbursed. And we should get a good majority of that. We should get, because that comes from state money, but they're way slower about paying that. And so it should be 12.5% of the total project cost. So it should, we should have about $1,700 that we're not going to get back, but the rest of it should get reimbursed. I am working, I've actually got, on our two other ones from July of last year. I am working with our program administrator. He's coming to Friday to tour all of our second flood sites and to look at the bridge. I've talked with Eric Pope at the highway department, and we're working on kind of redoing the RFP that needs to go out for the engineering on that bridge. And then we'll be sending that out to at least 3 to 5 different engineering firms to give us the engineering bid on that. And so that will be moving forward as well. The way that FEMA works, we have to give them what it would cost to put that bridge back to what it was before the flood. And, you know, the thing is, we're not rebuilding it that way because obviously it's not big enough. And so FEMA is very strange in that. So you have, that's the first cost we get approved with. And then based upon what our total damages are, we get mitigation money to make things better before we rebuild them.
Which would just be logical, is to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. And that's how it works. And so we're going through that process. And because when I talked to Eric at the state, you know, he said that particular bridge drains 5 square miles. He goes, that bridge is nowhere near big enough to handle that volume of water.
So we discussed a culvert at one point.
Yeah, that's not even an option. It
What?
needs to be way big. It needs a bridge, a real bridge,
They
like $1
make-
million bridge.
Yeah, they make some huge culverts.
A box culvert wouldn't work.
I don't believe so. Eric said it needs to be a bridge.
I can,
And it's,
you can almost drive a vehicle through a box culvert, so that's,
yeah.
probably you could.
I'm not an engineer. That's what we hire the engineer for. But they'll come back with that, but that is not my area of expertise. So I have to do, I'm the money person. I have to work.
That's
I
the
get
engineer.
money in. Yeah.
Let the engineers tell you what they're gonna pay you to put in.
Eric did say that bridge will probably be $1 million.
Yeah.
Is what it's going to cost to replace.
No, they got to dig up the river a little bit to widen it out.
Like I said, engineers, that's a whole different discussion that we're not at yet.
They'll probably make it a little bit better and make the bridge a little bit longer, but we frown on the word dredging the rivers and those things, so they'll call us,
That's why I
they'll
asked
call
that
us
question.
something else.
That's why I asked that question.
So,
if you've
any
seen-
questions on that one before we move to the next one?
Joel,
If you've seen the video that Ben Applegate took of that bridge flooded, you can see that the bridge that was there is way too small. I mean, that water was 100 feet wide.
Yeah, that video is kind of like eye-opening, that the bridge needs to be much bigger. So MERP, Municipal
MERP.
Energy and Resilience Program update.
it's the last of my list for the second. So the MERP grant, I put in the request to historic preservation for the state of Vermont, because 2 of the buildings that we're doing work on is this building and the depot. And they require a historic review of the building. What are we going to change? What are we doing? They have to approve anything. We're not really doing any changes, but there is going to be some stuff that will show outdoors. So that has to be approved by them. I'm rushing the stuff for the depot building because the boiler over there has got to be replaced. It's not optional, you know, it's failing on a fairly consistent basis. And so the town actually has the money set aside just to replace the boiler with the same kind of thing as what's there. But it was written into the MERP grant when NOAA was working with NVDA on that to replace that with a energy efficient propane boiler and all that. And the cost of it's 100% covered under that grant. So we're going to pursue that route.
Wasn't the big stink with that, Mike, was to get the tank buried somewhere? We don't have the
Yes,
property.
and that's why I sent everything off to the historic preservation, because they have to approve wherever it would go. So when I talked with the lady at NVDA, she's like, send it to them and let them make you, present to you where they think you should put it at. I've talked with Joel, and I think the only place we really have is kind of this
That bike
patch of
repair.
grass that's right here, because we don't really have much land around the depot building that you're gonna be able to bury a tank.
And the top of the tank is only,
Right, only this much is.
so like, you're not, it's not like we're putting a monstrosity in front of it. We're just putting a little,
Right,
a
Yeah,
little,
it's not very big.
a little thing.
As long as we get enough property to bury it. Yeah.
right. And so that's where we are with that. So
Building-
as soon as we get their blessing, then we can go to bid. And and I've talked to Bruce about that. I said, because he's been working on keeping this one running. So he's got the most knowledge as to, where everything is and how to get everything in there. So that's in process.
Mike, I just remembered, there is a wire buried in that area that used to go out to a light that was in the lawn right there.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind.
Have to do dig safe anyway.
I say, dig safe.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they
Are we
don't
gonna
know
put the
that.
tank
They
vertical?
depend on us to tell them that. They don't have any idea about that.
Yeah, it's probably something the town put in without telling.
Well, they'll detect it. They'll find it.
So any questions on that one before we go on?
Just, so this MERP, is that the one that I remember a while ago you were talking about upstairs? Is that?
There's nothing really in that for the upstairs. There is for this floor, though. There is putting mini splits in here because it would allow air conditioning here in the summertime, as opposed to those portable units we use, which are just energy hogs. And it also would allow us to control heat per room. And so the second floor, as far as the boiler goes, could be turned down, because if you come in here in the wintertime, the hallway is 75 degrees.
Yeah.
It doesn't really need to be 75 degrees. And this room, if nobody's in here, doesn't need to be.
Just remember, they don't work when it's 25 below zero.
Right.
Well, that's why you have
But
the
that's why you still have the
supplement.
boiler.
Yeah.
And
And for me, if we're looking at it, we're really using it for.
right. No,
And this being a historical building, we won't have any trouble. I don't suspect that putting the compressors outside.
I don't think.
We already have one
We
from
already
the
have-
Tank's
library.
already got.
we have three.
Say, we've
Yeah.
got one from the library right in front of the building over here. The bank has theirs over here, so I can't imagine that.
Well, it's just when you brought up the subject that historical buildings have to go through that.
Right.
But they're already here, so I don't
entrance.
predict any issues.
I don't foresee any issues. I mean, when I talked with NVDA, they didn't see anything. The things that we're doing have very minor impacts to the exterior of the building. So.
Okay. MPG update. I'm actually,
The municipal planning grant was submitted Monday. And it's a competitive program. I don't know if I think the water board, I sent copies of the grant to the planning board, not the water board, sorry. But hopefully we'll see what happens. It's a very competitive program this year. They concentrate on housing. They want people to work on the housing. So if you take a look at this application, you'll see that I threw in housing as often as I could. But it's true, we do have a housing shortage, so it's entirely relevant. It's a grant for $20,000 approximately to hire NVDA to work with us as a consultant on the new town plan.
yeah. Now, is that the one that the planning board has the
Yes, we have the
April meeting for?
April 23rd. We were having the kind of a kickoff meeting for that, which is, it's kind of a bring the whole town together. This is an important document for the town that only gets updated every 8 years. And so it's, what do we kind of want to see for the future of town and what needs to be in that? If you read our current town plan, I mean, the last update to it got a lot of updating in energy, but not much else. So it's very heavy on averting wind towers and stuff like that, that the last time there was a major rewrite, that was the big issue at the time. And there's very little in the town plan about economic development or housing or any of those kinds of things, which are, way more relevant today and should be addressed. And the thing that I can tell you about the town plan is that's where a lot of our grants, that's where they look to. That's a question on the grant application. Is this in your town plan, what you're applying for? And if it's not, you're not nearly as competitive. I mean, like we applied twice to the FLAP grant, which is Federal Lands Access, where we were trying to get money towards the downtown project here, where we have to replace the water main. And we applied twice to them, and it's because we're the gateway to Silvio Conte National Wildlife Refuge. But their big thing is this economic development, outdoor recreation, is this in your town plan? Our town plan has like a 1-sentence paragraph, is the only place that talks about, outdoor recreation being a key to our economy here. And so we kind of lost all those points. So we weren't really competitive. And so that's something that we need to beef up in that plan when we go forward.
Okay, any questions on that, guys? Okay, so next on the thing is EV, the electronic vehicle charging station.
Yes. So we got, it's in your packet. There's a picture of where they were proposing to put vehicle charging stations.
Who's they, Mike?
Norwich.
Norwich Solar.
Elect- Is it not? No, I don't think it's.
No, it's not Solar, guys.
It's their other division. Norwich. Hold on. I'll tell you. Got it.
So it's like my reading glasses are not up to par anymore.
Not the one.
It's a little map. It's not very.
It's Norwich EV.
Norwich EV, yes.
Just had to find the right font
It's
size.
a related company. And they have been working around town since at least 2019, because their original place they wanted to put them was at the Welcome Center. And we kind of went round and round with them for 2.5 years, probably, at the Welcome Center, and they finally showed up. Vermont Electric Co-op came out, looked at the site and said, yeah, that's not going to work. So then they've tried every place in town. They looked at behind the Historical Society, which would not give them an easement to do that. They've looked at Kingdom Market, they've looked at Lakeside, and none of those places actually have a place. I mean, these things take a good amount of space. I mean, you put these big vaults in that have to go in the ground. And
Is that any cost to the town, Mike?
it would not be a cost to the town. The only issue with this is that they can't put it where they are proposing. That particular patch of grass out here that's between Town Hall and Sunrise Manor is part of the park.
I said, we've already discussed that's part of the park. We can't do
Is
anything
that-
in there.
Can we table that?
Just get the information.
I'm just giving you,
Yeah.
I mean, and we do have to decide at some point, what are we gonna tell them? And
The
because,
least of our problems on EV charging station.
well, the thing is, we can't allow it there because there's a conservation easement on that property that says it can't be used for anything
Good.
like that. So I don't even know where Joel has suggested they should look at the other side of Sunrise Manor, but it's not really where they're gonna want to put it, because, they do want to put it somewhere towards the downtown where, people who are visiting will go and shop and eat lunch and all that while their car is charging. I mean, that's kind of the point to it. So, and we do have a need for them, whether you agree with EV cars or not, it makes no difference. We have a lot of people that come here.
Visitors are coming
They
with them.
come through town on the way to Burke for Kingdom Trails. A lot of those people. And right now they have to drive right through town. There's no place to stop and charge, where we could capture them. That would benefit our downtown businesses. So it is certainly something, I've tried to work with them for years to find them a location that would work, but so far we haven't made that. But, I'm certainly open to ideas to suggest to them. If somebody thinks of anything.
We'll let Tesla come in and put some in. That's what we do. Well, we'll look at that.
But they would have the same issue.
They're, yeah, and say
It's the same.
it's still the weight.
Being sarcastic.
It's
Size and weight.
the same problem is we only have 3-phase power in certain spots in town for these chargers. And, the vast majority of the space that's near that is the park, which does not allow any.
So who would get the revenue off that?
I guess they would. We would not.
So we
It would
don't,
be with no cost to us.
yeah, but we just don't basically, it's just a tourist.
attraction.
There's still
It's
people in town will be able to use it too.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
as opposed to me putting in a charger at my house, I could use it there.
and it is a benefit to your business community because they would benefit from people being able to charge their cars where they're here. Because it's not like filling your car with gas where you're literally here for 5 minutes. You're here for an hour. You're here for 2 hours. So you gotta have something to do during that time. So it is a
Who would own those, Mike?
Norma GV would own them. They would just have an easement on a piece of property that somebody owns that would allow them to
So
put.
they want a lot for free, basically.
That's, it's one of those things that
Don't know yet.
We
don't
would
know.
have.
I mean, we haven't got to a point where we've ever.
We haven't
had
even found
anything.
and say, you'd have to find a spot and then you could talk about what they would be
Just trying to
paying,
find out other info.
paying you for rent. Like, I mean, if you had a piece of property that I'm sure they would meet, they'd be willing to talk to you about it. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's
You got land.
like, there's nothing that says it has to be municipal
I don't think
property.
Anybody wants to come near me.
If there's,
And you're right near the 3-phase line too.
Yeah, well,
See, there we go.
like somebody who's got the property that meets the qualifications, I'm sure there's somebody out there that has it. Reach out to them if you want somebody rent in your space.
I don't believe on.
I mean,
How big are they?
the picture makes it look like it takes up about 4 parking spaces.
Wow.
Well, there would be 4 charging spaces with it.
Oh, okay.
But when you look at that little map that's there, they kind of show you that, these little pads that it's sitting on, but then there's these big transformers and stuff, and those go in the ground. And they're a big, because that's why we couldn't put it at the Welcome Center, because we were going to put it right there in front, which made sense to put it
That's
there.
where you're charging, but this is the
The
space that takes
infrastructure
up.
that goes with it.
So it's like it's, you lose these 4, then you also lose this space because that's where their stuff is.
You don't have the dimensions on that?
They didn't put it on this. I probably could find it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
If you can look at the size of a car, then it gives you an idea.
it gives you an idea of what it's looking at.
Yeah.
5-car parking lot.
But I remember when they first started talking about it, there was something to do with the weight over at the Welcome Center and that stone wall.
Yeah.
Pushing it out and all that stuff, so.
I thought it was something about to do with the water coming back off in the river into their units that were buried.
No, it's the bank there.
The bank
It's very
isn't-
unstable. And so they didn't feel like it could support the weight without toppling into the river.
Sounds like.
But they are pretty big size, so
2 years from now, they're gonna come out with a rig like this. It's 1/10 the size and does the same job.
And it's probably gonna hover around anyway and follow your car behind you, because it's gonna be
You'll have
like the
a phone, it'll
Jetsons.
charge your car, probably.
So next up on the list is the town manager search update.
and we
So-
put it out for bid yet for
I
hire.
haven't received feedback from you guys on the proposal documents that will allow me to begin that. There's still a lot of stuff that we have to make decisions with as a board in order to actually advertise.
Okay, I thought it was all in that email that I got. I thought that was all of it. It was,
No, so,
Most of what she sent you is what we used the last time.
so there's lots of stuff that we still have to, and I don't believe you printed the actual email.
I did not, because I had all. the
So let me pull up the email. And what it says in it, and we discussed it also last, let's see if I can get in here.
is this the ifs, ands and buts, Heather, or is this how we're gonna approach to advertise?
This is what we need to be able to advertise
The
So-
that we have, okay.
for the position.
Mhm.
Let me just pull this up.
I remember seeing that in my email.
Yeah, there was pipes.
Was there? Okay, I'll have to take a look at that.
I had a hard time opening Microsoft Word documents. I got it figured out after a while.
If you're ever having an
Figure it
issue,
out.
if you're ever having an issue opening up a
How are you?
document, just let me know and we can.
Well, I figured it out after a while. About 5 hours later.
Okay, so the first thing that we have to do, and I mean, we may want, because there's certain details that have to go in the advertisement that could put us at risk here. So we may not necessarily want to discuss all of them, but let's go here. The first thing that we need to do is we need to decide a timeline. We need to decide a budget for advertising. We have to decide the wages that are going to be offered. We have to pick which locations we are advertising because each one of them has a different set of
Rules and regulations and.
costs and processes.
Okay,
We also have particulars about the what do you call that? About the position itself, qualifications that we need to discuss in order to move forward. So we cannot, and nothing can be advertised without authorization from the board to even begin to do that. And the last time we discussed this in our last meeting, we were going to have a follow-up meeting on that Monday to continue that discussion as well as other discussions. And that meeting was canceled due to conflicts with everybody's schedule. So things that have happened. I included what is it, 10 documents there?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so as of March 3rd, the town approved keeping the town manager position in town. On the 4th, I reached out to Abigail at Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns requesting the new support. On the 5th, we had the first meeting of the new board. I advised you guys of the new process, received approval to continue the discussion with Vermont Leagues of Cities and Town and gather information and as opposed to to get the information for the position. On the 19th, I provided you guys the update with the information regarding how the whole new proposal process, as well as provided you guys the printed copies of the documents, which had been provided in electronic copy earlier. As of right now, we still have a bunch of questions. Things that we still have to do before we can move forward is we need to finalize the compensation for the town manager based on current economic status and wage review. We need to finalize the job description, finalize the deadline for application, make a determination if travel costs and interviews will be provided if needed. We need to finalize a method of submission of resumes and applications, including how to get them to us. They should come to the board as a whole redacted, which means removing any of the personal information, so that any applications are coming in equally, so that we're looking at qualifications. Once we finalize the timelines, the submission processes, we need to determine who will be on a search committee, whether public input will be, whether we'll have public on that search committee, determine if any confidentiality agreements are needed in order to do that. Then once we finalize all that, we can finalize the job opening announcement enclosed as a draft, and that is enclosed in the email. Finalize who will be responsible for reviewing the online submissions. So when you submit through like Indeed or through LinkedIn, you get a slight snippet preview. I don't know if you guys have ever looked at applications through those sites. You get a slight snippet preview of their resumes. So like if this is their whole resume, you would get like this much of it. And you have to decide if you're going to download that, and that's where the cost comes in. So for advertising on those national searches, which is where a lot of your qualified candidates are going to come from, you don't pay to advertise, you pay to get the application,
Yes,
right? So you can advertise all you want, and you can get 150 million, but you don't want to, you want to set your filters up on those so that they don't automatically go to you, because they do charge you for each one. So you need to, and you need to decide who's going to be deciding which ones come down, which ones don't, because you,
Why can't we just have them send their resume to the town clerk's office?
these, like Indeed and LinkedIn and places like that don't allow you.
Yeah, but
To-
if we don't file with them to get them to do that, then we can advertise on our own and hire on our own without them.
This is,
People, right?
this is not a third, this is an advertising hub. So like when you apply, when you advertise for a job, or when when you have certain qualifications above, especially when we're talking about professionals, right? We're not looking for somebody who is Joe Schmo and like doesn't have the qualifications. We're looking, at least based off, I haven't received any edits for qualifications from anybody on the board. So as of right now, we are looking for a specific degree. We're looking for specific experiences. So to get those qualifications, the Facebook advertisements aren't where those people are looking. Your college
I didn't say
graduates.
Facebook, but
So Indeed is that, it is one of those post sites. LinkedIn, you guys use LinkedIn?
I've seen
It's
that.
like Facebook for professionals
yeah,
and people with specialized skills. So those are the places that you're going to most likely run into your highly qualified. That's where you're going to see the most qualifications come through, because the people that have those skills are out looking for jobs. The people who are in those jobs today are out there. They're posted on LinkedIn. When you put your listing out on LinkedIn, it actually goes to people with those job titles, with those experiences, because you put your whole resume basically on there, and it alerts you that that position is there. So you're getting a different type of response than if you put a Facebook ad on our local.
I understand what you mean there, but okay. I'm just don't care for the idea of going out that far right now. I think we ought to try within our area first and see what we can find.
Your LinkedIn is for this area. Like I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Indeed.
Yeah, I know the guy that I buy bread from, well, don't buy, but get bread from is on LinkedIn too. So I know what it,
You're still hitting that target audience.
Okay.
But so you have two ways. In addition, we don't want to bombard Teresa with people coming in with that or mailing them in. You do have to set a deadline.
Are we gonna have that many?
Huh?
Are we gonna have that many, do you think?
I hope we do.
Well, me too, but like I said,
So will
last-
you know that I got a phone call today and somebody is emailing me a resume.
You see, I know the last time the way we did it is we set up a neutral email that could be accessed. And that way it wasn't bombing up Teresa's, and all of them were going to the same location and you could view them all. But I still think we need to look at those national hubs, the LinkedIn, the monsters, because that's where like Vermont Department of Employment and Training, they pull off from there as well.
The other place I'd recommend you guys put an ad, because we did the last time, is actually on VLCT. They have a listing service where it doesn't just hit Vermont, it hits all of the neighboring states, because every state has a VLCT kind of organization.
And if everybody looks at this spreadsheet, those are the costs for advertising. But again, I have not received any feedback from any of the board members advising which ones and that's what we need to sit down and discuss, that we can.
we're looking to do select board meetings here with all this that we gotta do, but we do have. to do that.
Well, that's why we were gonna have the last one too. In order to get these out, we have to get all these things done and assign them to somebody to do them. Right? So that's where we're at. So certain aspects I do, because of because we're talking about the financial compensation and compensation package, I do think the details of this should be done in part of the executive session tonight.
Just the financial part of it, I think, should be, yes.
The financial part of it. Okay, so where are,
But as far as where we reach out to, no.
so which ones do you wish to reach out to? We'll start with you, Billy.
I would like to see Caledonian Record. I'd like to see the Newport Express, the Chronicle.
So on our list, we start with the ICMA newsletter and website. That's a free, that's a $450.
Other words, I'd like to see it in the area first to give a person a chance in the area, because I think we have some very highly skilled people in the area that could do the job. They may not be as skilled as somebody from the out of state, but they're going to be skilled enough to do our job that we need them for in this town.
So when we talk about positions that have hard set deadlines that say we're accepting applications until X date,
Yeah.
that's everybody. Everybody has to do that. You can't say,
Oh, I know.
so
but-
we have to, all of our advertising has to be done across the board at once. We can't run first to the local and see what we get, and then we should hit it all at once. So we do have the Chronicle on our list, and we have the rate card attached. So your Chronicle rate card is starts on this page. So if we're advertising in the Chronicle, how many days are we running an ad for, and which size ad are we running?
I was wondering, but don't we do at least a week?
Something like this, I would typically do a 30-day run.
A 30-day?
I guess that's where we really need to start out is, what do you want for a deadline?
Wow.
We still got Jean on here. I would typically do at least 90 days.
Before we start trying to interview.
I would, for something like this, you're looking for a professional. You would typically search for 90 days.
Yeah, but as I said before, Heather, okay, we're a small community. We don't need that big shot professional to run our community.
So you want to start back at the job description and qualifications.
We can do that.
Okay, so let's go back there. Do you have any edit requests on the document that was sent over?
Well, I think they should live in the state of Vermont. For one,
Mhm.
they gotta be within traveling distance of the within, I would say, yeah, I know some people travel 100 miles, but I would say 50 miles travel.
I'd say that was actually one of the ones we already discussed, and they had to be within a reasonable, which meant probably 45 minutes commute.
Yeah, but that sounds, I remember we discussed that at the last meeting.
Yeah, and that's on the documentation.
Yep.
Degrees or experiences.
I would go with experience more than degree.
Mhm.
Because as I said, I think we have some people that are just as qualified right here to run our small town. I don't think we need somebody like we had with Noah. Okay?
We probably want to stay away from names or a public meeting.
Well, I'm just, okay, can I just say the last?
Yeah.
Without a name?
Absolutely.
Okay, we don't need somebody so educated. We're not a big city that tends to $10-15 million a year, you know? We need,
3.2, I think is what the number was.
I mean, I can name you people that probably right here in town that would be just as qualified to handle the job as anybody.
Okay.
And another thing also had on this, would we, one of my requirements that I'd like to think, and hopefully everybody else joins it, whoever we do get for a town manager needs to be in this office 4 days a week.
That's why I
Working
said
from home.
travel.
And I mean, is that something we should post, do you think?
Any requirements that we have to go in that job description.
Yep.
In the job description and qualifications. This is why we as the board, before we can set deadlines, we have to start with, that's why I sent you guys those documents, but I haven't gotten feedback. I haven't gotten a phone call. I haven't gotten an email. I don't know if you guys have copies of documents with any
I do have
markups
the
on
copies
them.
now. Okay, as I said, it took me about 5 hours to open them, but
Quick call, give me a call and say, hey, can you get them printed out for me? I will get them printed out for you.
well, I've been running PDF, okay?
Okay,
And you were sending them in Word. And I don't have Word, but I have a way to go around Word now. I have it bypassed.
okay. So
So Heather, if we're gonna go through this, the next thing is probably to schedule a time for at another meeting to go through this instead of going through all this tonight, because we're not gonna make any decisions tonight. We're not putting feed. Should we just schedule for another meeting?
I just want to make it clear that the reason this has not been advertised is not for lack of work on my part.
Correct.
I have done everything
Correct.
I have been allowed to do up until this point.
Yeah, let me tell you, Heather, I want to thank you for the work that you have put in, because it is a lot.
It is a lot. And I mean,
I try to read everything, and it is a lot.
We have a lot to do.
there's still a lot to do. And
Yeah.
this is where we like
So I do thank you.
budget, and there's a lot going on here. But there was a couple of other things left on the task list for this. And then obviously, once we get our applications, we do need to review them all, review the notes from the interview, make the short list for round 2 interviews, conduct round 2, select a candidate. Hopefully the candidate we select also says yes, because sometimes you get that far and they say no.
And Heather, that will be full board member at all times on this selection, correct? Full board, select board members to make
The whole process would be
Even the interview.
the full board.
the whole
Yeah,
thing.
everything needs to be.
Yeah.
Right. And even when we do interviews, like, so, because interviews are going to be scheduled, sometimes there are going to be conflicts when not everybody can be available for the interview. In those instances, you record the interview.
Yeah.
And because we all, believe it or not, everybody has a life. So, there's going to be times when interviews for the candidate doesn't have the same availability that we do. So you do the best fit, record it, and allow that question and answer session after. It also allows you, if you record all the interviews, to go back and say,
Redo them and see.
did I remember this right? And you can use that as a reference field. It's technology has some good stuff on it. In the event that he or she does accept it, we then notify all the people that were not selected that got interviews. And then we start the process to onboarding. So it's not happening today or tomorrow. The whole process is going to take.
Well, I understand now. I thought what you had sent me was a gospel thing, and that's what we were going by, and
No, and that's where if you look at the email, it says right on it, here's attached are a number of documents which we will need to review in our next meeting regarding the open town manager. Additionally, find out below a list of what has been done. If you have feedback, edits, please suggest them.
yeah.
And I did, when you see the edits that I made, they're in red, bold. So like the original documents, which you guys should all have in your email, because I sent those back in February, so they should still be in even your email. They didn't have those edits. The edits that I made based off, which is a lot of it's just highlighting, saying this needs to be changed, this needs to be changed. They're bold red ink so that they stick out a little bit more.
And I will explain why you don't hear from me on them, because I don't feel that I'm a select board member and I'm supposed to discuss it here, not over the internet.
You can always email and say, I can't get this to print, or I can't get it to open.
No, I meant when
To
you asked me
discuss
for
it, yeah.
ideas back, I don't feel that I'm supposed to do it over the internet, say, well, I would like it to be 50 miles from home, from the area or something like that. I don't feel that's my place to do it over the internet. It's do it right here in the meeting.
But
And that's why you
feedback,
don't,
when I say feedback, also, hey, I've got some edits. Make sure we have this in our next meeting. That's,
Right, you're not approving anything.
you're,
I mean,
we're not approving,
you've
you're
given
just,
her the job to be the coordinator of this stuff. You're a board of 5, so long as 3 of you aren't sitting there and chit chatting back and forth on email, it's fine for you to send back to her, here's what my edits I want them to be.
okay, well, I didn't know that,
At the
that,
next meeting, you guys can say, okay, well, these were Billy's edits, these were.
and say,
Melissa's edits,
and in those, that's what I would do, is I would mock up every single one, and I would say, on page 1, I have an edit request of this from somebody. Does everybody agree, disagree? And you literally accept that edit, and it pops it out. It's computer,
Just as long as the email that Billy sends back isn't. a
only
reply
comes to me.
all.
That's
It just
why
to you, yeah, right.
why I sent it to Mike to send everybody, so everybody got together. Yeah, no, and if there was only a 3-man, I would have them all going to somebody else, and somebody would just play ping pong paddle to send everything back and forth.
So this is a good time to start looking this up and sending you.
the information.
Yeah,
And
Good idea.
if you find it, honestly, you've got your paper copies. If you grab a pen and you just circle or highlight it, and you want to give me a call and say, hey, swing in such and such and pick up what I wrote on here, I can go put that into the computer. That's not a problem. Getting it into the computer is,
That's a piece of cake for me.
but some of it, because of the software, if you don't have the right version of the software, you can't make the edits on them. But, so we will discuss the rest of certain details in the executive session that is tonight. Okay. Any questions on that I didn't cover? Then we have overweight permits.
you want to do your additions to the agenda?
That was on the agenda. I was gonna go to additions after.
Oh, okay.
Then I realized that I have to sign those things. Let's go to the additions. We have a vacancy on the library board. So we learned tonight that is one of the things we're gonna have to put that on the next agenda in order to do, but Janet Osborne is resigned from
Why do you have to put on the next?
because it's an impact item. It's the same reason why some other things can't be done tonight. So if it has forget what word she used, impact, it has to be consequential. If it's a consequential item, it has to be on the agenda or we can't take action on it. So I'll make sure that gets on the next agenda. But there's.
Well, you
gonna be-
added it to the agenda tonight, so it's
Has to be on the
agenda.
published agenda, Joel?
It's if you,
is
that's
the
the
way it was
purpose of,
clarified.
the purpose of update agenda is to put late coming items on the agenda for tonight.
I understand that. There's certain consequential ones that we were told have to be on a warned agenda. So
heard
we
that in my
will, that's what we were told by legal. So I'm going to go with
Yeah, sure,
legal. I'm going to go with legal on this one and we'll get more information as we need to.
sure.
But they will need to have an appointment for the open position next one, and they are recommending Ashley Jacobs. Although I guess this one is their meeting. It's their meeting, not our meeting.
Right, you guys just have to put them on there. It's like the planning board.
They already had their warned meeting to discuss this.
Right.
And so that's a little bit different than our situation that we have on ours.
I mean, Heather, we're the select board appoints, correct?
This is for the library. board.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yes, the library board is recommending the appointment of Ashley Jacobs to the vacancy that was left by Janet Osborne on the library trustees.
Is that time sensitive as far as applications go for that also? Or is that none of our
we
business?
can put. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
entirely that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the
They pretty
planning
much Run
commission.
their own show down
Yep.
there and they know what more going on probably than what we do.
Been around for a while. hasn't
But
it?
this,
So-
but this is,
January.
Yeah, this vacancy's been around since January, so there's.
They're just asking us to okay.
they're asking us
They've
to
been,
Oh, wow.
appoint somebody.
Get it in, let's get it.
Yeah,
in.
okay,
Tell them.
that's up.
Yeah, so they already had their meeting. They made the recommendation for Ashley Jacobs. So if I can get a motion to appoint Ashley Jacobs to the Board of Trustees for the library,
I make a motion to appoint Ashley Jacobs to the library trustee board.
and a
I'll-
second,
I'll second it.
and all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. And then we have,
Trails Day.
I say Brighton Trails Day. Last year they did this as well. The Green Mountain Club, Green Mountain Hiking Club.
No, it's the NEK section of the Green Mountain Club. That's their official title.
Their title just gets longer and longer and longer. So in, where's the date on that?
21st.
June
June
21st, they
21st.
would like to do Brighton Trails Day. I don't know if you guys remember last year, they had, and they've done it for a couple of years. They've grouped and hubbed some hikes across some of the trails out here. And they used the pavilion to basically kick off and send everybody out on their way. And they are requesting use of the pavilion from, and I have to go find this in the pile. I need sticky notes.
I think it just says
Starting
June
in,
21st.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say June 21st. It's
June
Thursday,
21st.
30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So if I can get a motion, if any questions?
Heather, I was under the assumption that pavilion there was for pretty much for anybody to use. I didn't realize, like if somebody wanted to go down there, sit down and play a guitar down, they gotta get permission for that? Or is this because this is a
It's
larger
kind of-
function?
It's a larger, like if somebody's gonna be like occupying it and taking it,
It's.
I would-
They're not allowing other people.
right,
I
you
see.
kind of, but if you're gonna go sit,
I get you.
sit on a picnic table with your banjo, go right for it,
I
know?
get you.
But
I
if
was
you're
just
gonna do
concerned-
an
I just wondered
organized
about that.
event,
So it has to do with the size of the crowd probably.
yeah, last year they had quite a
Well,
few
it's-
people there.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't want it conflicting with, what if somebody else wanted to do something on the 21st of June?
So we kind of, yeah, you kind
Yeah,
of.
so you gotta make sure it's
That you
not
got somebody
conflicting.
there.
Right.
It's a little like the gymnasium,
Makes
people
sense.
reserve to use it. They kind of, they're reserving that they want to use the pavilion that morning, so.
So I will make a motion to approve the use of the town park pavilion and the Bluff Mountain Community Trail by the Northeast Kingdom section of the Green Mountain Club so that they may host Brighton Trail Days on June 21st, 2025.
The second,
I'll second it.
don't all fight.
I'm not fighting. Let Bill second it. We're all good.
And all in favor.
Aye.
Right?
And I believe that was,
No, CUD lease.
CUD.
how did I not even write that down? Probably on
So,
the other page.
so on the, originally, when they came and talked to the select board, we were doing an easement at the fire station or the cabinet location, where they're gonna put, all the fiber comes in there and that's where it all gets lit up. So in that easement research, we discovered the town does not have a real clear title to that property. It was an agreement between the railroad and the town like 100 years ago. And so it's kind of really weird. I mean, there is a legal way that we could do it, but it would take months because it's done. The CUD is building this summer our town. So they kind of need this to get done sooner rather than later. And so they did agree that we would just do a 99-year lease between the town and the CUD for that little square of land behind the fire station. And we actually benefit because they're gonna give us free internet for the town hall for 99 years.
Didn't we
So,
talk about this already?
did I might have brought it up before because
I was gonna say, I thought I heard about it.
I thought we talked about the 100-year lease last time.
Okay, we might have. Well, I just got the agreement from the attorney. Our attorney wrote it, so.
Okay,
Well, for the fire station too.
Huh?
Free internet for the fire station too.
No, I only could pick one building. And so the
Right.
fire station, there's nobody there at the fire station all the time.
We could negotiate with them.
We paid for, you have internet at the fire station. We paid for
Exactly.
and it's probably, but it's
That's my point.
Yeah.
it's probably a
This is-
cheaper.
Comcast has the same idea. Comcast will provide stuff for one.
it. Well, the thing is, we might be able to move because we get free Comcast here, but we can move it there. The CUD's
It's a higher,
agreement is the highest level of service they offer for the next 99 years. Is free for the town hall. So,
which in the future might be a lot.
it just seemed like this is where the offices are. This is where we use it all the time. The fire station is not, there's nobody there the majority of the time. So I would,
Why would they need?
well, the thing is, we could move the,
Move the lower speed free.
what
over
we have here
there.
right now, I think we're 100 meg service now, which is probably more than the fire station will ever use for what it does down there. So, it seemed like the better option was to put the free internet here.
Oh, absolutely.
So
And then put the other slower internet there. So
there is a motion written for
would you
this.
say this one is,
I guess we're gonna have to change it up. I make a motion to authorize a select board.
The select board
to
chair.
suck-
or-
Well, we gotta take that out. It's gotta be a select board.
No, wait, we don't.
no,
Heather?
you're
No.
at interim chair, temporary chair,
Right. She's still the chair.
Oh, okay, all right.
temp
So I
chair.
make a
For the month of
motion
April.
to have Heather sign the NEKCD broadband OLT cabinet location lease.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We'll get you to sign that afterwards because Teresa has notarized.
Mm. Okay. Pay orders. For an overweight, we'll just pile it all up. We'll send
Start on
them,
one side. So I just need a motion to allow
can I get a motion to sign or
the orders.
sign the, review and sign the pay
I'm
orders?
sorry.
That's
Oh.
overweight
Motion,
permits.
Overweight permit.
We give permission to sign the pay orders for Teresa?
I think,
No, it's the overweight permits.
Jean said overweight permits. Are you accepting the
Okay, excuse
overweight?
me, yep, I'll second it then.
All in favor?
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Right? You know, when you're filing your overweight permits, it seems like they're more expensive than when you're getting them.
Mike, this NEKTV, is this the place down here in Meadow Street?
Yes.
That's the
Yep.
people that are working there, okay.
Yes. I'm trying to remember if they were any KCV when you guys went to that meeting.
They were NEK broadband then.
Right, because they merged with CV fiber, which is the CUD that covered Montpelier
Bottom.
area.
Bottom
Uh,
chair.
Do you know are they online?
What do you mean? Are
Are they servicing now? Are they,
Oh, yeah, we have
Uh,
1,000 customers.
I don't see anybody in Island Pond, I mean,
Island Pond hasn't been, that's what this is part of. They're building here this summer
oh, okay,
where
but
they're,
they're serving outside of town.
yes, it's, I'm your.
They had like, they went to the areas that didn't have any service first.
They
So-
went to, what's kind of driven the build has been where there's funding. And, when does that funding expire? I mean, this NEK broadband by itself was 2,000 miles of fiber that has to be built to serve the Northeast Kingdom. And So, you
It'll
know,
be interesting to see what they charge here for a local like that, be it.
it's less than Comcast. It's, I mean, you can go on, you go online, their rates are on there.
It does show you?
Yeah, yes, and you can go on to, if you go on there, there's a link to, sign up for when service is available. I will tell you that the downtown area won't be served for a while because that is not going to be grant funded. But we're going to get broadband to all the other areas around town that don't have anything, which is kind of a big deal because when I was going to the meetings for, the state used to run this program called the Stay to Stay program, which was when people came to Vermont on vacation, the towns would get together and we kind of provide a, come to our town, you should move here. And, this is why you should move here. And, we did have probably out of the 3 of those that I attended, we had 5 or 6 different couples that came to town and looked at, because they were looking to move to Vermont. And they looked at Brighton, but the thing with every one of them when they came here was they needed land and high-speed internet. And we don't have both together now. We have high-speed internet if you're in the village, but once you get out 5 miles, 10 miles, you've got DSL, which is not, doesn't count. It's not fast enough for somebody who works remote.
Say, I have people, just because I am in town, I have the high speed and people are always shocked.
What speed you're running?
It's insanity speed. I don't know.
So probably the big.
You too Comcast or?
Yeah.
What, 2,000?
I don't know exactly what the speed is. I know it's faster than I need. I'm running all of my systems and doing video conference and all that and don't appear to have any issues.
I think I'm on downstairs, I think it's about 7 something, which isn't very much, and I'm able to keep up and do everything I need to do and run all my systems and stuff.
Ask Joel what he has for speed.
That the one?
We don't really want
Is that one that still bumps and beeps and
Yeah,
falls out every once in a while and
let's just say that the no internet connection words pop up a lot. I pay the same amount of money, $62 a month for 9 megabits per second as my son pays in New York City for 500 megabits per second.
And that's exactly it. Is I'm paying a lot of
there's
money.
no
for
gaming
my
at
speed.
your
you're
house.
paying.
There wouldn't be anyway. It's all
It's corporate
I
serious.
hear you.
wired.
Too much other stuff to do. Yeah, that's funny.
Although I did like Age of Empires. That was a fun game.
I used to like Civilization. Oh, I used to play that. So. It's Kroger's. Just that pack.
You just tell you what I like.
Way out of price.
You done sign? Make you sign this. You can.
Oh, that's that other thing. Oh, because you have to watch me sign it, right?
I think she knows you're doing it. It's just.
They don't make you video record it.
No. This guy?
Yep.
Mhm.
Select board. You heard it says chair. Is that what it says? Yeah. Okay, put select board in before that.
Teresa, this, the MVP healthcare, this bill is monthly. Is that for that for all the employees?
Hmm?
That's the total?
I just told April, I just told Heather what the date was.
Mhm.
A little bigger.
I'm gonna need a bio break.
Yeah.
Or something.
Okay. Might be out of order.
Something's really out of order.
Oh, no wonder.
He's been on Sunday, he's been there.
Oh, yeah, what the hell is this? You know, walking around the lake, I go down, sit there, what's going on? I thought maybe throw her out. I don't know.
No.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Something's not matching up here. Second page, that I was missing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I knew it was like it was like way out of order. Nothing was adding up right. This looks much better. Now they're lining up. I'm not an accountant. I don't claim to be. It's not on a spreadsheet. I can't do it. Next, the next one is meeting minutes from the last meeting, which was on date.
Here's those, because I sent them to you, that paper copy.
Date is March 19th, 2025. I'm assuming everybody's read them.
Yes. Make a motion to accept the minutes, past minutes for the board meeting from March 19th, 2025.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any? So the executive session, the other business has to come before that, right?
If you want to do it before while everybody's still here.
Yeah.
Don't leave.
So other business, we're gonna do that first. Any other business?
Is this where, Heather, we should probably talk about getting a special meeting for the select board, the point select board?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have, first of all, I believe We have all of the members, all of the people who have applied are here. So we have John, and can you tell me how to pronounce your last name?
Krummenacker.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sure.
We've had 3 people express interest in the open position on the select board so far. We've John, Bruce, and Jim. So as far as right now, I believe we have to have a separate meeting, because it has to be, in order to appoint somebody, they have to be, because it's consequential according to the person. We do have to have it on a publicly warned meeting. Like it has to be on the agenda that we're actually going to be appointing the person. As opposed to adding it to an update, it has to be on the published agenda. So I know for me, I'd like to hear from everybody so that we can make a decision as to why you would like to be on the board. I believe that was kind of what we'd all talked about. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do we want to draw names out of a hat, or do we have a volunteer who wants to go first? I want to draw names out of a hat.
Well, Jim, would you like to speak first? Jim, would you like to speak first on behalf of why you're interested in the position as select board member?
Well, I sat on the board for 4 years. Yeah, things are fucked up. They're straightening out.
Okay. John, if you would like to share with us one of your reasons for being interested in being on the board? Because I mean, I don't think I've ever met you, but nice to meet you.
So you've all met me in passing. You've all seen me a million times, I'm sure. I've been in town for quite some time now, moved up from Pennsylvania. I have a history of public service from when I was in Pennsylvania. It took a while to work on my professional career. And now I feel like it's about time to get back into some of the civic experience. Since you don't know me, a little bit about me. I'm a former Marine, Clinton era. I was a volunteer EMT up until the point where I got certified as a paramedic, amateur radio operator that was FEMA certified in 2005 for disaster assistance. So quite a bit on the civic side. Long ago and far away, I managed Properties of Merit of Pennsylvania, which was a nonprofit organization that really structured on some of the economically disadvantaged communities inside Pennsylvania, helping to get grants and everything else to fix up homes and make the lives of all the residents better. Eventually, after 12 years of service there, overseeing a $330,000 budget every year, various crime watches, campaigns. Professionally speaking, I've been in critical infrastructure over 25 years. So I've experienced in electric, water, and gas. I've turned up a lithium battery for Con Ed. I've curtailed a solar farm for Orange and Rockland Utilities. And right now I work for Hubble. I touch over 3/4 of all electric distribution within Vermont, as well as water and gas throughout the entire United States. So decent amount of background there. And I just feel like now it's time to maybe step up and work for my local community again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce, see you in there in the corner too.
Who are you looking for?
You.
There you go.
Hands down, John's got my vote.
So
why do you want to be on the board?
So why would you like to be on the board? You threw your name in the ring?
Yeah, I'm interested in the town and the future of the town, and got the time to devote to some of these events and causes. Born and raised here, left to go to the big city to make good, and returned after about 60 years of that, decided that's enough of that. Still know a few of the people around town and associate with them, and kind of like to get reacquainted. Seemed like a good place to do it.
And you serve on the water board, right?
Serving
Bruce?
on the water board, correct, yes.
Okay, yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Hey,
you.
hey, guys, can I interrupt? This is Ed.
Hey,
I was
Ed.
just wondering, you named, you named 3 candidates and one of those name was Jim. What's his last name?
Webb.
WEBB?
That's what I have written down.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ed. So, any questions for them? Other than what they've just said? If not, we can set a time for a meeting. Or how you wanted to do that?
We have 24 hours, correct?
From the end of this meeting and time to post it, minimum. That's a minimum warning.
Yeah.
So
Let's,
this is Wednesday, so Friday's the
Friday would be
earliest,
Friday would be,
the earliest.
or, well, yeah.
let's.
Otherwise, you're gonna call a meeting to order at 10 o'clock at night.
Well,
Billy's like, no.
my schedule is good for Friday. I don't know about everybody else here.
I'm good for Friday.
It's Friday.
And, what time?
Where's Friday, April 4th? I can be after 5:30 or later.
How about 6? That way gives you a chance to,
The 5:30 allows me time to walk the dog and get here.
oh, okay.
That's the 5:30.
I'm flexible 5:30 to 6.
Yeah, I'm,
5:30 work for Eugene?
I'm thinking. I'm not really sure yet, but
I have a
we'll
quorum.
see. I'll let you know.
anytime will be fine with me. So,
So we'll make
5:30
5:30
Friday.
PM on Friday.
yeah, 5:30.
And then at that point, I'd like to make sure that we at least appointed somebody temporary. Correct?
That the agenda will be, obviously, if we have anything else to update to the agenda, we can update it, but I will put together the agenda for the purpose of appointing a member of the select board.
Is that gonna be temp or for the year?
I think
We
we just
will
might as well
decide-
for the year.
We will
For the
decide
year.
then.
Pardon?
We can decide then how we do it. And I don't know, I mean, usually, historically, it went to the next vote. Like you appoint them
Yeah,
until the next election.
that's
Right, I
right.
don't
That's
think there's an
historically.
option for, I don't think there's an option for a temporary appointment in this
Right.
state.
Oh, I thought Sarah said there's.
She said in rare instances you could, but usually you go, I don't like to use the word a year because it's not quite a year till the next election.
Right. So be
The
it.
seat is only a year seat anyway, so it'd be up for reelection. in
Right.
March.
Still the next.
Yeah.
So be it.
Yeah.
It is the remainder of the term. Okay,
Is
so
there anything else going to be on your agenda?
as of right now, there is not going to be, but if things
Okay.
change, I will have that updated. When we come out of,
Okay,
we are going to do the interim town manager executive session regarding personnel, interim town manager discussion. So,
Do the appointment or something?
we're going to have a discussion, and depending on that discussion, depends on what our action will be.
After your executive session.
Right. So if I can get a motion, where's our motion list?
I'll make the motion that we enter the executive session to discuss potential interim town manager staffing under provision of Title I, Section 313 of the State Vermont statutes finding premature public knowledge and substantial disadvantage to town.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
With.
Aye.
With members of the board.
Members of the board, correct.
And all I have to do is record you the time and any actions, correct? Okay. While I am bio breaking it.
Can we take a couple minutes?
Can I borrow